All right, welcome back to the Prolific Author Podcast. We are here today with Dawn Greenfield Ireland, who is a very prolific author. How are you doing today, Dawn?
I'm excellent, thank you. I hope everything is well on your end.
It is. Thank you. I'm glad to have you here. So why don't we just start by having you introduce yourself and who you are and what you write?
All righty. Well, get ready. So I'm a very prolific writer, and I write screenplays, I write fiction books, nonfiction, I create online classes. I do just about everything. And right now I'm in the process of starting article writing and blog posting and things like that. So I'm spreading my wings.
Yeah. So you have quite a few different books out over several genres, right?
Yes. And from what I understand, that's pretty unusual because usually a writer sticks with one particular genre, and, in that genre, they'll spread out. But for me, it's like, nope, I write young adult sci-fi, fantasy. I write dystopian. I write cozy mysteries. I have actually 2 different cozy mystery series going right now. And then, don't judge me for this, but I also write billionaire shapeshifter adult books.
That's a very specific niche, I gotta say.
Yeah, they're out there.
Yeah.
And then I also have the nonfiction, which that basically consists of 2 dog books, a couple of different personal finance books to do with budgeting and things like that, and then some writer-specific books, how to format Word docs like a pro, which is pretty popular, and then Writer's Preparation Handbook, which, if you're interested in writing and you don't know what to do, that's a good jumping off place for people.
Yeah. And, I think that it's becoming more and more common for people to write across genres. I always have. And I think, most people, I don't know what the percentage is, because I don't know if there are any like actual polls on it. Maybe the majority of writers stick to 1 or 1 to 2 genres. But I think because it's possible now it's so easy to publish these days, that more and more people are branching out and kind of trying their hand at different things. Have you noticed that, do you think?
I know several very prolific writers, and they basically stick within a genre, and then in that genre they will divert to something a little bit different, but they're very comfortable in their specific genres. And so who knows?
Yeah, who knows? So what are some of your secrets then for being as prolific as you are?
Well, turning off the television is one. My television starves. That's what I tell everybody in my newsletters. What are you watching? My television is starving to death. Basically, I would rather read, write, and explore. While I grew up with television, we had 3 channels back in the 50s. And then when my children were young, we watched quite a few shows and stuff like that. But I got to a certain age, and I think this was like maybe 15 years ago, that, I don't know, the light bulb went off in my head, and I decided that, I'm just sitting here on the sofa watching this, and I could be doing other things. There's a lot of time spent here on the sofa, so I might as well spend it at my desk doing something. So
yeah, for sure. Budgeting time. So what advice would you give to, up and coming writers, when it comes to, what would you tell them to do in order to help sort of move their writing craft and their writing career along?
I think one of the most beneficial things for a new writer is to find a critique group. They're very invaluable. When I started writing back in the late 70s, I didn't know what I was doing. And then in the early 80s, I discovered a really huge critique group in Houston, where I lived. And that basically helped me understand all aspects of fiction writing, and the do's and don'ts and all that. I mean, it took me, a clear decade or more to understand what I was doing. So I think that a critique group is invaluable for, new writers. And if you can't find one, go to Meetup online or create one in your own neighborhood. Go to Facebook neighborhood or whatever. Try to find other writers that would be interested. And, it's always beneficial if you have a really great editor that joins your group. I had a very large critique group in Houston, and I had 2 editors in that group. And I mean to tell you, they just whacked the hell out of us.
Yeah, those are the best ones. That's the most helpful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can really learn an awful lot. And it's always beneficial to get other people's opinions on your work, and I always tell people, like, calm your heels, because if 2 people suggest the same or similar things, then there's a problem. These are your initial readers, so don't ignore it. Don't get your ego in the way. Put the ego up on a shelf somewhere, lock it in a cabinet or whatever, because writing is serious business. And the only way to learn is by, listening to your peers.
Yeah, it took me a long time to figure that out too, or to figure out at least how to articulate it. I think very often, especially for new writers, the suggestions they get are to change something, and they push back against that because it's their book and they don't want to change it. But what they don't understand is that whatever the problem is, they're not communicating it in the way that they're meaning to on the page. So it's not even that they have to change what they're doing, but they need to figure out how to communicate it more clearly so that the reader understands it. So I think that's a really good differentiation to make when you're in a critique group.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, it's very serious about the ego. It's like, shut up, listen, and, absorb things. When you leave the place, you go home or whatever, then you can sit down and, you can dissect what you heard or what someone wrote,
Right. And it's just really about like investing time in yourself and in your writing abilities, You got to do that if you want to get further. So how else do you, or have you in the past, gone about investing in yourself as a writer?
Always hire an editor. And then after you make the changes, always have a proofreader. Those 2 things will save you time and again. And it doesn't make any difference. I mean, you can think that you have everything cleared up in your book, and as soon as you get it out there, somebody will send you an email or make a comment about some errors, So the one great thing about the era that we're living in now is that you can fix a file and upload it, in 2.5 seconds,
Right.
Like, just, pay attention.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it really can shortcut your way to success if you are willing to invest in yourself early on, so that you don't have to be constantly, taking 10 years to learn how to edit yourself or whatever the case may be.
Well, I got to tell you, I read prolifically 2 to 6 books a week in between everything else. And I get so frustrated, especially when I am reading someone and on their cover, it tells me that they are either an Amazon or a USA or a New York Times or, whatever, best-selling writer. And their book is crap because this finger goes to spell check, and they didn't even spell check their book, and they have their character name spelled differently throughout the book, and they've left things out, incomplete sentences, I mean the whole gamut, and it's so frustrating. And I always write a review, and I am the type that I don't just vomit out what's on the back of the book. I write a review about what I have read. And, I've had a couple of people come back at me, like, why did you say that? Why didn't you contact me? It's like, look, your book is out there. I'm a reader and a reviewer. you should have thought about that and cleared up your book. You've got, 5-star reviews. You've got 4, 3, 2, and 1s. If you're not reading your reviews, I can't help you.
Right.
It's pretty
And
simple.
yeah. And like we said, if people would just, invest in a little extra time, it's a little extra money and time on the front end, then you wouldn't have that problem because your book would be well edited.
Right.
So yeah. Great. Well, so let's switch gears a little bit. I noticed that you said you write family trees for your books because you have kind of big ensemble cast of characters. I'm very interested in that because I actually write kind of big ensemble cast of characters, and I have various ways to keep them all straight and everything. So tell us about what your method is.
Well, it all started with my Alcott Family Adventures, which is always otherwise known as the Chocolate Series. And
nice.
yeah, it's at first I just had it in a Word document, and then I changed it over to a spreadsheet, and that didn't work. And I finally hired a guy that put it in Visio and made it just absolutely beautiful. But I mean, to me, this is really important when you're writing with a large cast of characters. So I have 3 sisters and all these other characters that are related to them. And so they all have different Bentleys that they drive. So, okay, so who's the one with the nougat colored Bentley? Okay, so who had the chocolate Bentley? And it's like you've got to keep things straightened out. Not only that, I mean, if you have nicknamed someone, or if somebody is like, for example, I have police and detectives and things like that. So I have them all listed on the bottom. I mean, I have everything. I mean, I do not want to go into book 3 or book 4 and, try to think, okay, no, who did I say that was? What, where was that? Which book do I search? I'm not going to go back to book 1 or 2 or 3 and do this, stupid search through the book, trying to find a character when it's all here,
Right.
And then one of the other ones that this is my very largest family tree. It's for my fall series, which is a young adult science fiction fantasy series. And so I have a glossary of terminology, which is specific for that world, like days of the week, moon phases, what their calendars are called, things like that. And then we've got different technology, we've got different places. So I have all these different kingdoms and creature people, and then the regular humans and stuff like that. So again, this is like, I'm not going to go searching, because right now I'm into book 5. I'm not going to go back to, like, okay, where did I call that, and
Right.
and all that. So these things are really important. I mean, every single one of my books has one of these. My dystopian series that's set in 2086, I have a historical timeline. And again, that is, something that's like, okay, now what year was that in,
Right.
So
yeah.
it's a wonderful way to keep track of everything. And people love seeing this stuff because they're in the books,
Right.
they can, if they come across something, especially in an ebook, it's just so darn easy, go back to where the, where the family tree is. It's either in the front or it's in the back. I've explored those 2 different things. I don't think it makes any difference where it is. But
so you put it in as part of your manuscript so that the readers can see it. Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
they love that. Yeah. And like in my Bonded series, that's the shapeshifter thing. I've got the people and their animal part, and all these different things and all these different connections, so it's really handy. I advise everybody that's doing any kind of writing to make their family tree, however, they want to do that, just to make it as attractive as possible and get it in your book, because it adds character to your writing.
Yeah. Now you said that you do it in Visio. That's how you create it?
That was just the very first one. I had a guy that did that, but I mean, like in Bonded, I just have it, in a chart.
Okay.
With the different book titles, and then same thing with, I mean, it just doesn't make any difference. I mean, in my Cats is Cat series, I've got well, my main character is a newspaper guy. So I've got the newspaper staff, I've got different streets to where they go, the police department, the wealthy families. I mean, and this is I made it up, Twinkle, Texas, which is 350 miles from 350 miles away from the closest shopping mall in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, so I have fun with doing all these things.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. And so you think that any author should do that no matter what they're writing, or is there like a level of number of characters or anything that you would think would qualify?
I don't think it makes any difference what they're writing. Just think of it as a way to keep track of things.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever written something and you had a cat in the beginning or a dog in the beginning, and then you had it 2 or 3 times in there, and then they went away and you forgot what the name of the cat or dog was? I mean,
right. Yeah.
Your character sheet can have all kinds of stuff. It's really great for nicknames and just I mean, just everything you could possibly think of. If you're calling especially if you're if you're a sci-fi writer and you have an alternate universe that you've created. Like I said, with my Thal series, I have like, what is one day called? It's a full turn. A notch is 1 week. A keld is 1 month. I mean, things like that. And then I've got different technology and different different foods and things like that. I mean, so you can just write the name and then give an explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just it adds a lot to your writing ability. And so
yeah, for sure. So you keep not just character information, but also like world building and things like that in there?
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And do you put all of that into your manuscript, or do you only put the character stuff?
Oh no, it's all in there. It's all, whatever on the in the pages. Like for Thal, it's 6 pages. That's all in there, because I want everybody to see, or have the ability to go back and find, something to get the explanation that they've lost somewhere in the, in the writing.
Right. Yeah, no, that's really good advice. And I always tell my students, if you can actually state something, very firmly, write it down, have it front of mind, rather than just kind of have it floating around in your head somewhere, it always just comes across stronger on the page because you're being very intentional about it.
Yes.
Yeah. Great. So any other just random advice you can think of to dispense about the family trees?
Just write everything down.
Yeah.
You'll have it in one place, and then, it'll make your life easier when you're, sitting there in a conundrum, like, what in the world did I say? What did I do? What did I call it?
Right. Well, it'll definitely save you time. So just to be clear, do you write these all down before you start writing, or do you work on it progressively as you're writing, or?
Yeah, progressively, because as I'm, writing away, and I name something or someone or whatever, like the bell goes off. Oh yeah, I better, stick that in there. So I do the cut and the paste, and
yeah.
that's the way to come up with that. But I mean, also, I've been known to just write front to back, finish the book, and then go through. And that's the painful way.
Yeah,
Trust
yeah.
me, that's very painful, because then you're going to overlook things.
Right, right.
Because you've already written the book and everything is familiar to you, so you're going to overlook something that should have been on that list.
So is there anything that you write before you start, or that you, I guess I should say, that you plan before you start writing? Like, tell us about your process a little bit.
There have been books that I have outlined before starting to write, but then there have been books that I have just, sat down and just banged them out.
Right.
But sometimes I will get an idea for a book and I will sit down and just, frantically type all those thoughts out. And it becomes a little bit of an outline, I suppose, and then I'll build on that as I'm going. And I don't know about you or anybody else, but I mean, I have discovered that my outline changes as I'm going, because you think that you're going to do something a certain way, and your characters or the plot or whatever takes you down a different road than you thought you were going to go. So. Yeah.
Yeah, and I am a big outliner and I teach it. And I have always said, don't be freaked out by the outline. It's not set in stone. It definitely can change. But I'm almost moving more toward it actually probably should change at some point, because, you need to be paying attention to those, more spontaneous ideas that get incorporated. And it would actually be kind of strange if you wrote an outline that didn't change the entire time you were writing,
Yeah. Yeah. And I always tell people, keep a pad and pencil or a pen on your nightstand. So, I don't know about you, but I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I will wake up and just thought of a solution to something, or have a totally different idea about something that I already wrote that needs to be changed. I mean, and as well as I do that, if you don't take immediate action, it's gone. It is just gone, and you cannot rely on it coming back at 2 a.m, because it's not going to happen.
I was going to say, especially, right when you wake up, when you're kind of between awake and asleep, that all just goes out the window as soon as you fully wake up. So you gotta, I agree.
Yeah,
you gotta get that down.
Gotta write it down. Yeah.
Yep. Great. Well, thanks so much for being here to talk to us about this. It's been really enlightening. Any last minute advice you want to give to up and coming authors before we wrap up?
No, not really. I mean, it's just that writing is very personal, and if anybody in your universe is questioning what you're doing, and they're, like looking down at you or something, they're really not your friend. I tell people, sometimes you have to divorce your family, your friends, coworkers, whatever, if they're not going to support you, because this is a very tough career. And it's very important to surround yourself with people who believe in you and, give you all the encouragement that you really need.
Yeah, I love that. And so did you, especially early on, get a lot of discouragement from people around you?
I remember a conversation I had with a guy that I used to see at different networking events. And he said to me, well, why do you keep writing? You're not making any money. You're not doing this, for a full-time living. And it's like, what else would I be doing? I mean, it's in my blood. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, like so many professions, it's, if somebody's in it for the money, they're not going to last very long. People who do this feel called to do it. So, but you're good living proof that somebody can do it long term and be very prolific and have a really long and satisfying writing career.
Yeah. And you just, you have to just love what you do. And when you love what you do, it doesn't make any difference what anybody else is saying about you.
Right. I really love that you said that if they're not going to encourage you, they're really not very much of a friend. I think that's something people try to shy away from a little bit just for the sake of being, you know, having harmony. But I think that's really true. You know, you can still be friendly with them, but if they're not going to encourage you, then you need to surround yourself with people who will, you know.
You have to change them from friend to acquaintance.
Yes.
You know, because that to me is a survival technique. You know, you do not need anybody browbeating you.
Right.
You know, and if they swear that they're your friend, then they need to start acting like your friend.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for that. I think that's very wise advice. And thank you for being here. Tell everyone where they can find you and connect with you and your books.
All righty. Well, my full name, Dawn Greenfield Ireland.com. And it's that's my full name. It's not Dawn Greenfield from Ireland. I've never been to Ireland because I get asked that a lot. And just happy to have people come by. You know, I will answer any questions that anybody has. So nothing is off limits.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much, and good luck with everything you do.
Thanks. You take care.
Bye.
Bye.